Hi guys, it's Jim here. Back from a week away, not doing a video because I was in Scotland. Hence the beard, because I forgot to take my razor to Scotland. Not because I'm trying to grow it and look all manly. No, I look really old. I am recording this on Sunday night. Meant to do it on Saturday night, but I got horrendously drunk at James Endicott's band launch thing. Threw up all over my room, so I've been cleaning that up. It's pretty gross. So now is my time to talk about the Man City game, which Palace lost 3-0. First time we've let in that many goals this season. No, Newcastle were letting 3, but it's the first time we've been beaten by that many this season, and first time you could say we've really been spanked, but we weren't spanked. You know, in the first half we were good. We were good for a point at least, and I thought we matched them. Problem was when that first goal went in the second half from Silva, head started to drop a little bit, and I think that was the first time we've seen for a few weeks that they thought, yeah, we're not going to win this. Whereas in previous games against Swansea and Liverpool, you could see them think, oh, you know, it's only a goal. We'll move on and get something from this. So that was the first time that I saw them be like, oh, sort of heads down. Not quite as positive, but that's one game. You know, that can change. I feel like we haven't had a lot of luck recently. Like Silva's first goal was a deflected shot, which any other time would have gone over the bar or wide, or you know, would have not bounced over and Ward would have cleared it. And this time it went in. Then you've got MacArthur's header at 2-0, which was obviously onside. And I'm not saying that we'd have definitely got anything from the game, but it would have made it a lot tighter towards the end. So, and then same in recent weeks, you know, at Spurs we were unlucky not to win really, and Swansea in the second half we played really well, so it feels like our luck isn't quite going for us right now, and I do believe that stuff over the course of the season does work out, but it does feel right now that it's not with us, and sort of dropping points, you know, where we should be maybe picking up points. I'm not saying Man City was one of those games, but it does feel like recently a few games that have come by which we would have looked at and been like, oh yeah, we'll get something from that, and then we haven't. And then the next thing you know, you're away at Man City and you're like, well, we probably won't get anything from this. So the games are sort of coming thick and fast, but the points aren't, unfortunately. It's not a disaster. You know, we're still out of the relegation zone on goal difference, I think. So it's not the end of the world, but I don't know. I said in previous weeks, something doesn't quite feel right. And when it does work for us, we're lethal and we're deadly and we look really good. But it's been a few weeks, and I think City as well. It just isn't quite clicking, and maybe that's because we don't have a goal scorer. You know, maybe we need a man up front. Unfortunately, that's going to cost you big bucks in January. Mate of mine's a Blackburn fan, and he reckons that Jordan Rhodes would be perfect. He says he just needs the supply. He says, you know, let him do what he does in the box, but if you can supply him, then he'll score goals. And we got the wingers to do that. But would he give you the other effort up front that we expect from the top man? You know, chasing down defenders, maybe not. So it's hard finding someone to do that role, but if we had a proper goal scorer, you know, maybe we would be sneaking wins that are draws at the moment, and so on. So it's tough. It was frustrating, City, but it wasn't terrifying. You know, it wasn't massively disappointing. I think frustration has been the word in recent weeks. We haven't been coming away from games thinking, wow, we're terrible. We've been coming away thinking, it's not quite working, but there's stuff there for us. So that certainly makes me feel fairly positive about the rest of the season, but obviously that can change in a few weeks in this league. So anyway, that's me. Jay is next. I just forgot his name. So here's his thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below and tweet us and all that jazz. And Merry Christmas. Yeah, have a really good one, because this will be the last video before Christmas. So I hope you have a great time being Christmassy and whatever, and we'll see you for next video after the Southampton game on Boxing Day. So yeah, here's Jay.
To Jim and Jay's Palace Thoughts. The latest edition is looking back at the Manchester City defeat up at the Etihad yesterday. This is our latest project in conjunction with 5-year plan, Palace Fan TV, and us guys at the Eagles Beak. So hopefully you're enjoying. Please subscribe to the Palace Fan TV YouTube channel, and also keep in touch with all of our websites, because there's always lots of great content. But we're here to look back and review and share our thoughts with you guys about the trip to Manchester City, the champions, the current champions. Always a daunting task for a team such as Palace to take a trip to such a team, but they have a multitude of talents, and while they had a few injuries, they had Aguero missing, they had Company missing. They've got players to step into the breach and try and impress the manager. And we set up well to start with. We had Neil Warnock, who brought in Punchin to replace Zaha, who admittedly, in the previous game looked a bit lethargic, a little bit disinterested perhaps, but so Punchin got the nod in this one. Obviously Shamak's out for a few weeks, so Fraser Campbell got a nod up front as well, which I think away from home it's probably quite good to play a player of his calibre up front with a bit of touch of experience over somebody like Dwight Gale perhaps, which proved to be the case. So we started well actually, and took the game to City. They looked quite uncomfortable for a fair period in the first half. Balassi was doing his usual stuff. He's impressing this season. We do still question his final ball, but the tricks are all there and the talent's there, and he was giving Zabaleta a pretty torrid time in that first half, and Zabaleta's no mug at this level, but we just couldn't get that goal. It's something we're struggling with at the moment. Hopefully something that we can change in the January transfer window is to get somebody to finish the chances we're creating, because we created a few in that first half, but we just couldn't get our noses in front, which was a shame. Would have been interesting to see what would have happened if we had got that lead in the first half, because Man City, while they looked a little bit nervous perhaps, not particularly up for the game from the outset anyway, and I must say a very quiet Etihad Stadium as well behind them. We play well. Balassi, like I mentioned, MacArthur had an excellent first half as well, but we kind of felt that we would rue those chances, and so it happened early in the second half. Real good bit of play from City, I have to say. However, a cruel deflection. Scott Dan did his best to block the shot, and it looped over Speroni and into an empty net, which kind of similar to the previous game, against Stoke City, in that the ball ricocheted to Crouch after a Kelly block, and he was there to put the ball away. So it was an unkind deflection, but I guess City came out the second half and gave it a go, and looked a class apart really, and they pushed on from there and got the goals. There was a disgraceful decision, to be honest, an offside given for MacArthur, who headed home well from an excellent Balassi cross, and how it was given for offside. He was at least 2 yards onside, and the linesman was completely out of position. It was just another case of the referees making a pretty appalling decision, and a lot of people say Neil Warnock moans for the sake of moaning, but I think a lot of the time this season he's had just cause to moan, and he's been fined for it, and I think his comments were perhaps right yesterday after the game, in that he wished he was back in the media so that he could say what he wanted to say and not be fined, which whether that goal would have changed the game, it would have certainly given Palace the impetus we needed to have a go at City, instead of losing by the 3 goals to 0. It may have concerned City, because we gave them a few surprises in the first half, but regardless, City ran out comfortable winners in the end, and probably not many Palace fans would have expected anything less in that game, and for me, I often feel that teams like Palace aren't going to get a lot of points out of the top 5 or 6 teams during the season. Anything you do get is going to be a bonus, but to be fair, we're not competing against those teams. We're not challenging them teams at the top of the table. So it's the teams around us and around and about us we need to get points out of. But saying that, we haven't done that against Sunderland, we haven't done that against Villa, but obviously we've got points out of Liverpool and Everton. So I think it's a division where a lot of teams can beat other teams and cause a few surprises. But this result didn't particularly surprise me, and I would say it wouldn't have surprised many other Palace fans, at least anyway. But yeah, perhaps weren't worthy of the 3-0 win. City, they weren't on top form, which is probably lucky from our perspective. But we move on to Boxing Day, and I'm back to Selhurst for a game against previously faltering Southampton, which we need to get something out of that. We're still outside the bottom three, which is good, but we're crying out for that goal scorer. We really are crying out for somebody to put that ball in the net and finish some of these chances that both Balassi and Zaha, when he was playing, were creating. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be an interesting month, but we'll see how it goes. We'll be cheering the lads on in Southampton, obviously, and we'll go from there. So thanks for watching these videos. Like I mentioned last time, if you've got any questions for either myself or Jim, leave your comments underneath the videos below on either of our Facebook pages, on Twitter. There's plenty of ways to get in touch with us. Pigeon post if you really want to. I'll look out for the pigeons. And all that's left for me to say is have a great Christmas, everybody, and see you all at Selhurst Park on Boxing Day. Thanks for watching.